Today, we are excited to welcome two great partners and friends of CLC, Matt Kuchta and Brittany O'Connor with Citizens, and Citizens is the presenting sponsor of our Accelerate 2026. Matt is the Ohio Commercial Market Executive at Citizens. In this role, he brings more than 20 years of experience in the financial services industry, where he oversees a team dedicated to providing tailored financial solutions to middle market clients. Prior to joining Citizens, he worked with international and domestic companies of all sizes at Fifth Third Bank and FNB. Matt is actively involved in community service. He serves on the boards of Greater Cleveland Partnership and Cuyahoga Community College Foundation and on the advisory board of A Kid Again. Brittany O'Connor serves as Vice President, Public Affairs Market Manager for Citizens, overseeing community engagement efforts across Ohio and Michigan, and she also serves as a strategic advisor to senior leadership and manages partnerships with public, private, and nonprofit organizations. Before joining Citizens, she spent over a decade in the nonprofit sector, focusing on social services, women's health, and human services advocacy. Brittany dedicates her time, talent, and resources to various local nonprofit organizations. She currently serves on the board of Barton Communities and actively volunteers with Junior Achievement of Greater Cleveland, the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, and the Lakewood Athletic Boosters. And for the past 5 years, she has served as precinct election official for the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. She is also a graduate of Cleveland Bridge Builders class of 2003. Please welcome Matt and Brittany.
Thank you, Rachel. I had to find my unmute button.
Yeah.
And I wanted to jump in and say, oh gosh, you don't have to read that whole thing, but thank you for the really kind welcome. We're really thrilled to join you today and to talk about Citizens and to talk about Accelerate, our big partnership with the Cleveland Leadership Center. And I'm going to be here in conversation with Matt. Matt, you want to say hello for a minute?
Yep. Yeah. Afternoon, everybody, I think, right? Yeah. Rachel, thank you very much for the introduction. Brittany as well. Really appreciate the time here today and getting the chance because of the Leadership Center and Rachel and Becky to talk about really one of my favorite topics is how our colleagues in the bank gets to have a positive impact on this community. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. All right, so let's dive in into our conversation, Matt. And before we talk about our community strategy and our presence, and our specifically about our partnership with Accelerate, talk a little bit about Citizens' presence in Northeast Ohio, our capabilities, our reach. Like, talk about us as a company.
Yeah. So, Citizens Bank, we've got lots of banks in Ohio that are headquartered here. You've got obviously Keys right up the street and Fifth Third, Huntington, all Ohio-based banks. But I always like to point out that Citizens' roots here in Ohio go pretty deep as well. We go all the way back to the Charter One days, and that was the acquisition that brought RBS Citizens at the time into Northeast Ohio. So we've got a major presence from the retail standpoint. When you look at the Cranes lists and things like that, we're generally in the top 3 to 5 depending on the year as far as largest banks in the area. With some pretty deep roots there. I mean, we're still in the Charter One building, and that goes back quite a way. I think 9-10 years ago now, we also acquired Western Reserve Capital Partners, another organization with really deep roots in Northeast Ohio. And, what that's given us is when you talk about our reach and our capabilities here in Northeast Ohio, as I mentioned, we've got the really successful and very strong retail presence. From a commercial and corporate banking side, Citizens has really become a national player over the last few years. And we've dedicated a lot of our resources, our acquisitions, the places we've made investments to the middle market largely, which is a really great fit when you talk about the economy here in Northeast Ohio. You've got a lot of hardworking, manufacturing companies and kind of older economy companies that do what they do very, very well. And we've really invested in a lot of places I think that fit very well with Ohio. So Ohio is considered a growth market for us. And that's really mine and my team's goals here is to continue to build the brand in Northeast Ohio and really throughout the rest of the state as well.
Yeah, That's great. Yeah, we're growing, a lot of exciting things happening here. Let's talk about our community engagement strategy for a minute. I'll talk a little bit about this to start, and then I'm going to kick it to you, Matt, to add. But I think many on the phone might know, many on this call might know that at Citizens, we're really focused in the community efforts around workforce development and financial empowerment. These are our two core giving areas because we know that these areas are really important for the economic success of our region. And we've developed some really key partnerships in those areas that not only support important programming, but also provide opportunities for us to volunteer in the community and to provide leadership. We're really proud of those partnerships with Cleveland Leadership Center. They're an important partner for the great work you do around civic leadership and promoting innovation. So Matt, what I wanted to ask you is, what do you hear from clients and community leaders about the community that guide the work that we do here at Citizens?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take this in a couple of different places. So, where I'll start is one, the importance of the institutions and us being invested in the community. We hear that from our commercial customers. We hear it from our retail customers. We hear it from talent that we're trying to bring on, right? There is, it's just something that has to be foundational in our business. It's really part of the culture here too. So, the first thing is the importance of it, and we really need to, folks are very demanding of seeing us invested here, which is great to see from the overall broader community. Now, as far as what we're hearing specifically, one of the things you mentioned, Brittany, is talent acquisition. I'm in communication, generally with a lot of CEOs, CFOs, and trying to find the right people is probably the biggest challenge across just about every industry right now. It has been that way for the past few years, kind of since coming out of COVID. That's separate from the back to work discussion, but just trying to find the right people is a huge challenge for our executives and our corporate customers. And that extends into two, other groups I'm involved with. GCP is a great example. GCP just put out a report on the success of Northeast Ohio on some of their initiatives. And one of the things, if you took a look at that report, that was really interesting, is there's 35,000 open positions across Northeast Ohio that employers have across Northeast Ohio. That's a huge number. The one place we underperformed in those metrics was hiring and growth of employment. And the reason we did is because there's just not, quite frankly, enough people. And so, that fits really well with what Citizens is doing, from trying to give people access to those jobs, bringing in the right type of training, and doing a lot of those types of things that so many of the great organizations we work with. I mean, you mentioned Magnet already, is training these folks. And I think the summer program that we support there is a great example of giving high schoolers access to what a manufacturing career might look like, and just spurring a lot of those conversations, and being that, kind of, I know the term we use internally, Brittany, is convener amongst these groups, these employers, and bringing resources to bear, is something we spend a lot of time and effort on. And I would say, from a discussion in the community perspective, that is the number one thing we hear, both from employers, both from the partners that we have, again, from the boards I sit on. It's trying to find the right talent and develop the right talent. Because you think about the effect that has then on the community, right? There's the old saying about giving a person a fish, or teaching them to fish, right? Helping these people develop the skills, get access to those good jobs that are out there in this community, has so many other benefits as you kind of go down the line.
Yeah, and we've stayed really close to our nonprofit partners to understand not only the challenges the people they serve are facing, but the challenges our nonprofit partners are facing. And we know it's been really tough the last few years. Coming out of the pandemic, that was a tough time where our nonprofits really had to pivot and found a lot of great new ways of doing business. And we know times are tough right now. So we stay close to that. And, Matt, you have mentioned this before, as you mentioned today, that the learnings you get from Greater Cleveland Partnership, also the information that you learn from our community partners, I know that you bring back to your seat on the Greater Cleveland Partnership Board, which is so important, and the other boards you serve on. I want to also just double click on Magnet for a minute because they've been in the news a lot. I don't know if they're on this call today, but Magnet is one of our partners where we fund their workforce development program and we provide volunteers to deliver financial education to the youth they serve. And we're trying to, with this partnership, we're really trying to demonstrate to the manufacturing companies in the region that we hear them around the needs for talent, the future need as people are retiring, and it's an important sector. So it's a partnership we're really proud of. And if you don't know them, you got to check out their building. It's amazing. So I want to pivot a little bit to talk about our colleagues, like how we use the resource of our colleagues. I know we're both really proud of how our colleagues give back to the community. Talk a little bit about how we emphasize volunteerism at Citizens.
Yeah, as I said, I think quickly in the beginning, I mean, it's a core part of the culture. I quote our CEO here, and if anybody was at the City Club event where he came and spoke in Cleveland last year, I think he said this then, but he repeats it pretty regularly, and it certainly does filter throughout the organization. Is a company like ours can only be as successful as the communities that we're in and doing business in. And that doesn't just mean, GDP growth and additional income and things like that. In order for it to be sustainable, we need to be supporting and building healthy communities. You think about what a bank does and all the different roles we play in a community. There's a lot of important steps there. And in order for us to again be successful, to deliver our returns and our profits, but also to be sustainable, we have to have these successful communities, and so that really I think is where it starts with Citizens, and we back that up. This year we went from 4 paid hours of volunteer time to 8, so that's every employee in the bank has 8 hours of paid time that can be used for volunteering in the community. Last year, I think the number is what, Brittany, 255,000 hours volunteered from our employees. That's across the country. But a very sizable number. And I know Bruce, our CEO, is certainly not resting on his laurels there. So that number is going to continue to go up. Again, it's just really part of the culture.
Yeah, our chairman loves a stretch goal, keeps pushing us. But that 255,000 hours, and that's what our colleagues logged. There could be hours they didn't log, that they did above and beyond that. But that's volunteering for initiatives at the bank with the Clean Leadership Center at Accelerate, with Cuyahoga Community College, with Magnet, all those things. But it's also coaching Little League, working at their children's schools and things like that. So we're really proud of that. And I'm so excited about this expanded volunteer time off benefit, which I just took advantage of myself last week, a couple of hours, because it's a great way for our company to tell our colleagues, we support you going out to work in the community. So love that.
The other thing I always point out there too, real quick, Brittany, before we go on to the next one, is the sabbatical that we just provided to a local employee. I always like to point that one out. I mean, we had an employee that spent a month and a half working full time at the food bank, which is obviously another great organization when we talk about again the talent and the employment and helping address kind of the root causes of stuff. I know we as an organization do a lot with their community resource center, but we had an employee spend a full month there, paid by the bank on sabbatical, and that's something that's a program we used to do and just recently brought back, and I think and sincerely hope we're continuing.
Yeah. Last year we had 3 Citizens colleagues out on sabbatical, one in Ohio, the other 2 were in other markets. We were thrilled to have a colleague here selected. These are colleagues who are active in the community. They log volunteer hours. They are, performing really well at their jobs, and they're eligible to apply for this opportunity. And yeah, the placement was with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, working at the Resource Center, helping them work on some programming for agencies, and a whole month. I mean, he was cut off of his bank systems. All he could do was work for the food bank for a month, and it was pretty. I think he would say it was life changing. I've heard him talk about it. So yeah, that's a really great thing. And I want to, Matt, mention you in Rachel's intro. She mentioned that you're on the board of Cuyahoga Community College Foundation, and I see some Tri-C friends on the phone. So I just wanted to give them a shout out because you are involved in a couple of boards, but this is one way. I mean, you spend a lot of time with board service and how you give back. I don't know if you want to say anything more about that.
I mean, I'm privileged to serve on a couple of them. I'll start with Tri-C. Again, the common theme for me, and it lines up with what the bank supports, is really that employment, that talent acquisition, that skill development for people. Giving them, that provides a long-term solution to a lot of problems, right? Both personal and that we face as a community. Building these usable, employable skills in people is really important, and Tri-C just does such an amazing job. We are so lucky to have an organization, a community college that performs at the level that they perform here in this community. I'm not sure if Megan or any of them's on, but I think the number is up over 40,000 students in any given semester. I've had the opportunity to mentor a student there as part of their President's Society, and the work they're doing is just amazing. And truly giving people, creating opportunities for people, which is a fantastic thing. And as you mentioned, also on the board of GCP, that organization is doing so much to kind of connect dots, which is a really important piece of the puzzle, right? You've got these, it's a great area where some of these corporate entities and the really big companies can come to invest in the community and make sure that the communities where they're doing business are healthy. And then the third one that I'm on is I think Rachel mentioned, is a Kid Again. Not sure if anybody's on from a Kid Again, but their tagline is giving illness a timeout, and that one is just working with critically ill children and giving them regular adventures around Northeast Ohio to look forward to as they're dealing with doctor's visits and things like that. So that one is just that predates my role here at Citizens, but is just one I care a lot about. But
yeah, personally significant. I want to give you high marks as a board member. You did a great job, because what we know, serving on a board, and I'm sure many people on this call do this, serve on a board, it's really important to spread the word and make connections, and in addition to supporting financially and all of that. I think you did an excellent job, Matt. Talking about Tri-C. Okay, so one of our longest standing partnerships is with the Cleveland Leadership Center for the Accelerate Citizens Make Change program. And I want you to talk a little bit about why you think this partnership has endured that time, and why Accelerate aligns so well with Citizens.
Yeah, well, the reason I think it aligns so well is, again, I've talked a lot about ideas and, kind of sustainable things and big efforts and energy that's going to make a sustainable difference in our communities. And, just the core of what Accelerate is matches that perfectly, right? You've got this, kind of Shark Tank type situation of, kind of social entrepreneurs, just some purely entrepreneurial ideas, just some purely social ideas. And it all comes together in this just kind of fantastic melting pot. What we even say from the most common kind of tagline I use when I'm out in front of customers selling the bank is, we like to lead with ideas. That's how I want you to judge us and select us as your banking partner, is by the quality of ideas we're bringing in. And, when you look at an event like Accelerate and look at the quality of ideas and the passion that our neighbors and our friends bring to this, it it's in my mind a perfect fit, and absolutely the reason we've been doing it. What, 11 years? This will be year
12,
11.
11. Looking to the, okay, they're all going like this. So I tried to do the math quickly and I couldn't. Yeah, it's such a, this event's coming up, Accelerate's coming up next week on February 26th, downtown at the convention center. And there's such great energy in the room. I mean, to attend, to be inspired by, again, our neighbors, just regular people who have really good ideas to improve our region. And make connections. I mean, everyone is there in just a positive way. It's a great feeling, and I think you have to attend it to really get it. So I hope everyone here will check it out next week. I'm really
I completely
excited.
agree. Real quick, just let me
Yeah,
throw in there, Brittany. I mean,
yeah,
if you want to, there's been so many great things happening around Northeast Ohio, and I do think we've kind of flipped the script a little bit on the perception of Northeast Ohio, and that's amongst all of the great groups we've talked about already, and that are out there. There's so many fantastic ones, but if you haven't gotten on that train yet, and you still need another reason to feel good about Northeast Ohio, there is not a better event. If you show up and in 10 minutes, you're going to feel fantastic about the future of the community.
yeah, absolutely. I was going to just quickly add, and then we'll turn back to Rachel, that, we're going to have 10 or so colleagues there volunteering at Accelerate, helping with get the pitch presenters ready and monitoring the rooms. And this is really a highlight for me of Accelerate, is that interaction with the individual pitch presenters. I mean, they might be a little nervous, they're excited. It's such a great opportunity for them, and to be able to be one of those people that is the last one to talk to them before they go into the room in front of the judges is a really cool experience. Do you have any favorite memory of a past Accelerate?
I mean, there's a few that come to mind. I think it was last year you had I forget what they called themselves. I want to say Trash Talkers, but that's the band that plays out of St. Ed's. It was
Oh,
Trash Brothers, maybe, that were picking up, a service to take out and pick up trash for seniors. Just
mhm.
such a simple idea, but such a fantastic thing. Trying to think
I
of something.
agree.
Oh, last year too was the sign language app. I mean, you talk about a real world potential business, but that this comes from the passion of somebody wanting to help their
Yeah.
neighbors. That was another great example. Um, there's quite a few that come to mind over the years. And
Yeah. I
the
think,
great thing about some of these too, I think I don't know the percentage, but I would imagine, I know for a fact it's a meaningful percentage. These become sustainable organizations, either not for profits or maybe even businesses. Which is for me the really great thing to see, that there's the tangible outcome of the support we're given for this event.
mhm.
Is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's people have lived experience and they bring it to the ideas they share. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for being in conversation with me. I'm going to turn it over to Rachel to see if we have any questions in the chat that we can address.
Matt, Brittany, thank you so much. The enthusiasm you both have and the support for Accelerate is so appreciated by us here at CLC, and we are just so looking forward to next week. A part of the event that we love is that there is a community participation element, especially during the final program when the audience votes on the winner. Can you share kind of insights as to why this is such an important part of the event?
Yeah, from my perspective, um, you know, the presenters are there. These are people that are passionate, not just about whatever their personal idea is or their personal interest is. These are all people that are passionate about making a difference in the community. And that's very localized in most of these cases. So bringing in the folks in the room, the Northeast Ohioans there to actually participate in the outcome of this thing, it's just a perfect fit. And I think, um, you know, from talking to participants, I think they really appreciate that too, right? These ideas are tailored for their community. So getting the immediate feedback and thoughts from their neighbors and friends that are in the room, I think they see a lot of value in that as well.
Yeah, who doesn't love being part of getting to award money to someone? So fun to pull out your phone and get to vote.
Now, throughout your conversation, you have touched on the expansive community engagement strategy for citizens. For organizations, for companies that are looking to build a similar type of engagement strategy, what advice do you have? What lessons have you learned along the way?
I'll jump in real quick first and just say that um, for a company looking to do that, listen to the community. So meet with the nonprofits that are doing the work, that are part of the community and serving the community. We we're only as good as those nonprofits. We need to learn from them, and we're constantly trying to do that. We're staying updated and understanding trends and things like that. So I would say that first, is to really understand. I think it's important to identify where, based on what maybe your company's mission is, where you want to focus community engagement. Not everybody has to do everything. We all can do a few things really, really well. And so I think that's an important piece. And then don't forget about your employees. Like Matt talked about our volunteerism. That's a huge resource to be able to offer to the community and to encourage your employees to give back in that way. It's really important.
I'll just add, one quick thing to that, and that's when on the employee topic, it's as well, having the right people means everything. And hire yourself a Brittany as well, because she's built, and you can't have Brittany, but hire yourself a Brittany because she has built a lot of the platform we just talked about. Has been built by her over the last 10, 15-ish years. I don't want to put too many on it, Brittany, but it is really having the right people that believe in these two and are passionate about the community and the effort and those types of things. So that is an important step. If you're going to commit to it, commit by having the right leadership there too.
And speaking of leadership, you both have had extensive opportunities to grow yourselves as leaders over the course of your careers. Can you share kind of that one piece of leadership advice that has stuck with you over your time?
You want to go first, Brittany, or do you want me to?
You go ahead.
So I don't know about the one over time, because I can tell you, I am certainly not the smartest person in the room, so I am constantly learning. The one that does stick with me recently is, again, it's about the people. You you shouldn't be the smartest person in the room. If you're a leader, and you're the smartest person in the room, you're not communicating your mission the right way. You're not going out and attracting the right talent. It really does become about the people you surround yourself with.
And I
I think
think to
that's the
add to that,
broadest
Matt,
one.
yeah, I agree. And I think you need people around you who think differently from you, right? Who can
Mhm.
challenge your thinking. It doesn't mean that's always going to be the route you take, but to help you really see things broadly. And another thing I'll add is I really love observing other people's leadership and style. And often you see things you want to emulate. Often you see things that you say, "Oh my gosh, I don't ever want to do that or be perceived that way." So I think that's something that's been helpful for me over the years.
Well, Matt and Brittany, we thank you for joining us today and for your continued support of Cleveland Leadership Center, of Accelerate, and I'm sure on behalf of many of the partners you have on the call today, for the support of Northeast Ohio. Thank you for all that you and the company do for our community.
Thank you, Rachel. Thanks, everybody.